There you go. There you go. There you go. What's good, everybody? Dorsey May Gaming here, and today, y'all, I actually was sitting here thinking, because we're talking about a lot of games that are coming out here pretty soon, and we were reflecting back on older games and things of that nature, and it came to my mind this brilliant, awesome, but very simplistic question: what makes a game great? And okay, because first of all, we know that there's no such thing as a perfect game, right? Yeah, that's a laughable thing. There's no such thing as a perfect game. However, games can be great, and I guess it's kind of one of those artistic, human type of things where they say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, things of that nature. So for everybody, it's going to be different, and I'm very interested to hear your input on what you feel like makes a game great. So drop that down below in the comment section, and let's go. Let's talk about this. So for me, I feel like what makes a game great for me is immersion. For one, number one, immersion. When I'm playing a game, of course, like anything, you want to be captivated by that game. I used to write. I'm very good at writing. I used to write poetry. I love writing essays in school and stuff. We haven't had contests, and I'd win like first place on essay contests and things like that. And one of my favorite, some of my favorite essays or stories or things to write. I used to love writing persuasive papers, and I also used to love writing just stories. You see, because one thing is true about both of those. In order for those writings, anything that you're writing to be good, you have to start off with the attention grabber. And that was my favorite part of writing, was the attention grabber, be it a persuasive essay, a how-to essay, a fictional or, essay, whatever it was. The attention grabber was, to me, the foundation, of what that essay was. Now, think about this: when you have a foundation of the house, is the foundation bigger than the house? No, the foundation is very small. That attention grabber is very small, but it structures and holds up the biggest part of whatever is built on that foundation. So, same way in the gaming industry, and not just in sports games, but just in games in general. There has to be something there to grab your attention. And that's why a lot of companies spend a lot of money on these trailers, reveal trailers, to grab your attention. Some of them do, some of them don't. I've seen trailers for games where I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. I need to play that. Where other games, it was like, I'm not interested in that at all. And just because the trailer doesn't grab your attention doesn't mean that the game isn't going to be good, because there's been some trailers for games that wasn't, the trailer was horrible, but the game was awesome. And I think that's largely in part because they failed to capture the individual's attention. However, and nowadays, there's certain things that we have to understand in the gaming industry, that whenever there's a reveal trailer, a lot of people mistake that for the actual gameplay trailer. There's a difference between a reveal trailer and a gameplay trailer. A reveal trailer is just, the cinematics are going to be awesome. It's going to be, it's representative of what's in the game, but what you're seeing is not representative of what you'll see when you'll play the game. You get what I'm saying? It's not like a movie trailer. Where you see a movie trailer, you're actually seeing scenes from the movie. When you see a game trailer, a lot of times, the majority of the time, you're seeing something that was just put together using that engine that you're not going to see in the game. That's just kind of showcasing things that's going to be in the game. So not to stray too far off topic with what I'm going, is immersion starts with me at the gameplay trailer. Okay, and two, whenever you turn on the game. For instance, have the video game Prey that came out a couple of months ago. Prey on the surface, it seemed okay. But when you begin to play the game, and at the very beginning of the game, rather, something happens in the game, and I'm not giving a spoiler, but something happened in the game in that story that blew my mind away. And at that point, I was like hooked. You see what I'm saying? And so whenever you're playing sports games, for instance, because we dibble and dabble in sports, you get what I'm saying? It's very interesting because you don't have a story element so much. Now we will. With Madden 18, we're gonna have a story mode. So you'll have something there to captivate people's minds. But as far as immersion, that's where immersion to me becomes very important in a football game because it's not really a story. However, having the ability for me to put myself into the game, to create that immersion, that's what draws me in. That's what grabs my attention. My attention grabbing thing in sports games is how much of myself can I put into this game? And not only that, but once I do that, how much am I immersed in it? Because a lot of games, especially sports games, have a creative character feature. That's all well and fine. My thing is, once I'm created, how much do I actually control? For instance, with a football game, players that we would love to be able to affect where we go in the draft. Or like NCAA football did this very well because you were able to create yourself in the game. To me, it's the perfect design, to be honest with you. You're able to create yourself in a game. You're able to start from high school. You can determine how long the season was. So you actually got to basically relive your high school days through a video game. And you got, recruits offering you scholarships. You go in with schools that you plan on going to. And then at the end of it all, you get to lead your team to the playoffs and things of that nature. And you see your stock rising. So you and yourself are affecting how your future is going to play out. And I find that very immersive and addicting. And so once you get to the point where it's time to select a school, you started with 3 schools in mind, but it's very interesting how you have schools that come and try to recruit you, or, and things of that nature. And you see the type of offense that they run. You have to take that into account. You see the position that you would play on the depth chart and things of that, nature. And, okay, so you pick a school and it doesn't stop there. So you're thrown into the school. And if you're not a starter, you actually have to practice to get experience points, which is awesome. I love it. You get experience points in the game. But what's really cool is just because your overall is better than the person ahead of you doesn't mean that you are the starter. You actually have to go through a position battle, which is really cool. Only downside to it is I wish that if you lacked in performance that you could lose your position. That would give you some push to really fight to compete and play hard every game. But I'm talking about that because of the immersion in that game. We lacked that in Madden 17. You wasn't able to immerse yourself into 17 because you could just go in, pick whatever team you wanted to play for, pick whatever round draft pick you wanted to be, and I hated that. That left so much on the table. So, for Rex Dixon and Clint Oldenburg to sit there and say that franchise mode increased over 100% and there's nothing that needs to be changed with franchise mode, to me, that's a bunch of bull. It is. I'm dead serious. That is a bunch of baloney. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, it is. That's a bunch of stuff, man. Because with franchise mode being that way, my question is why was it that franchise mode increased 100%? Could it be partially because more people are buying the game? Let's say, for instance, if NCAA was out, would your franchise had increased 100%? I doubt it. Why? Because Madden NFL is the only football game out there. So yes, of course, you're going to have more people buying it. You see what I'm saying? And then, too, you had a lot of people who was actually unhappy with Madden Ultimate Team and started to play franchise mode as well. Not to mention online career modes and things of that nature. And the fact that people are still, playing the game right now, plays a large factor in that. So, I would like to see why is it that franchise mode increased 100%. And just because it increased doesn't mean that you can't improve on it. Doesn't mean that there wasn't something missing, especially when you have the community, people like me sitting here telling you, and even your own EA game changers telling you that there is more stuff that you can add to franchise mode and coming up with some brilliant ideas. Now, I would love it if EA would just be honest and say, we want to focus a little bit more on Madden Ultimate Team to increase our sales revenue and profit from the game. I get that. From a business standpoint, I understand that because I've been on the business side of profit and loss and things of that nature. I understand about driving business. I used to sell cars and things. I understand that side of it. There's a lot of gamers who don't understand the business side of these things. I understand those things. So I'm not upset with that because from a business standpoint, it's brilliant. It works. It makes money. It's a gold mine. However, from a consumer standpoint, it's easy to lose focus on what got you where you're at, and that to me is a very innovative and immersive franchise mode. Okay, the second thing that I would say that makes a game great is that the support from the developers. Do y'all just throw a title out, no support, and things of that nature? Are you patching the game? Are you correcting the game? And we fall into a very difficult time in the gaming industry because you have a lot of developers, people get online and it's the online gamers. I can almost say that online gaming is ruining games because I think about one of my favorite games in Destiny, how, the Vex Mytho class came out. And this was a gun that was very hard to get. You had to get it through a raid. And when you got the gun, it was an awesome gun. However, playing with the gun in PvE, which is PvP, which is player versus player, they didn't like it because you killed them too easily, you see. And so what did they do? They nerfed the heck out of this gun, and it sent a trickle effect down through the rest of the entire Destiny franchise. That exotic guns weren't exotic anymore. So you would grind out for these hard to earn exotics and they would play just like any of the other guns. Online players ruined that for the game. They ruined the game that way. Same way in Madden, like what I was talking about in yesterday's live stream, whenever we were talking about the quarterbacks, Michael Vick gets in the game and he is tearing it up. People are complaining. Then you get online with a fast quarterback and they see how it could break the game and they see how it can hurt their revenue when it comes to stuff like Ultimate Team. And what do? They nerf the ability for quarterbacks to scramble. They nerf the speed at which quarterbacks run. And I understand having a position-specific speed. For instance, a quarterback with 99 speed is still slower than, say, a wide receiver or a cornerback at 99 speed. I don't like that. Why even allow them to put it up to 99 speed? Because there is no reason why my quarterback, who has 99 speed, 99 acceleration, gets caught by a defensive lineman, is not able to outrun a linebacker. You see what I'm saying? If that's the case, EA, instead of putting 99, 0 to 99, why not just put an actual 40 time? Why not just allow us to have an actual 40 time for an attribute stat? That way there's no discrepancy. If you got a guy that runs a 4.2, 4.3, he's going to be a burner. He's going to be fast. You get what I'm saying? So for me, something that makes a great game is a game that's truthful, a game that's immersive, a game that's fun to play, a game that I can escape this reality in and live out some dreams and things of that nature in an alternate reality, which is the video game industry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So all in all, that's how I feel. I would love to hear how you guys feel in the comment section down below. Let me know what you feel like makes a game great. We are going to be live streaming this evening around 6 p.m. somewhere in there like we did yesterday, y'all. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. I think today is the day. We'll see. I don't know. And also, what would y'all like to see in a challenge, for us hitting that milestone? So very excited about that, y'all. That's all I got for today. And as I sign off, like I sign off always, till next time, and God bless.